Hi everyone! So today I want to do a video about the books I read in January. So it was a great month for reading, like I discovered so many favorites this month, it was amazing. But you're going to see it right away after I explain why I have like this thing on. It's because I actually slipped on ice and I sprained my elbow, so here's the situation. So let's dive right into my statistics for this month. So I read 11 novels. 6 of them were adults, 2 of them young adults, and 3 of them middle grade. So of these 3, 2 were all marketed as young adults, but reading them, I can tell they are more for middle grade than they are for young adults. So then we have, the genres. So 3 were fantasy books, 3 were contemporary books, 2 were thrillers, 1 was sci-fi, and 2 were non-fiction. And then we have my rating. So 1 was 2 stars, 2 were 3 stars, 3 were 4 stars, and 5 were 5 stars. So that's why I'm saying this was an incredible month. Yeah, like 5 stars. And so my average rating for this month is 4.09. So yeah, incredible month. I really hope I will have an amazing month as well in February. We'll see. So then of these 11 books, 3 of them were LGBTQ+, had an LGBTQ+ representation, and those 3 also had On Voices offers. So that was great, but only 3 out of 11, you can always do better. Those 3 ones I'm going to say right now were Legend Bond, So You Want to Talk About Race, and Felix Ever After. Of these 11 books, 7 I listened to as audiobooks, and 4 of them I read as ebooks. Like I said, it was really... I usually read my books as ebooks or audiobooks, but it was really easier for me this month with my busted arm. So that's the statistics for me, and I'm going to just talk about the books I read, like specifically one by one, and I did rank them, so I'm going to start with the one I least liked and finish with the ones I loved. The first one I rated 2 stars was Ordinary Girls by Blair Thornburg. So I really dislike this one, because to me it wasn't, it wasn't good, like really wasn't good. There was no plot, so I can tell you the things that happened, but there was no real plot, and that was my main problem with this book. So we follow 2 sisters. One of them is the main character, and it's a contemporary book, so no fantasy elements, just 2 girls, they're high schoolers, and they're going to a high school that's for rich people, and they used to be rich, but they're not anymore. And so their family kind of struggle with money, and that's supposed to be a plot, but there's no plot behind it, because just the main character is starting to do things to make money, but it's like, oh, so stupid, everything she does is so stupid. It's like things happen and you follow them, and they're so boring and uninteresting. The characters are no depth at all, like paper characters all the way through, and the main character actually succeeded in having both no personality and being super annoying. Like, you want to slap her every time she opens her mouth. So no story, no characters, nothing interesting about this book. Then we have, let me see, we have The Deal of a Lifetime by Frederick Backman. So it's a novella, it's really short, like maybe 60 pages or so, and I didn't like it, and it was really awful because Frederick Backman is like my favorite author of all time. And you're gonna see I read another book by him during this month, and this one was a 5 stars, like all the books I read by him so far, except this one that I rated 3 stars. Why? Because I rated 3 stars because of the writing, because Frederick Backman is like so incredible with words, but the story in itself, it was a bit confusing. I can't say much because it's so short, but you follow a man that has cancer, and he was an awful man during his life because he was obsessed with like power and money. And he's in his hospital and he sees this little girl that's like dying as well, and he just thinks. And this had the potential to be great, but the main character, he's supposed to be awful, but he doesn't really get better. Like, yeah, like you don't really connect with him, and so you don't like him, and so like usually Frederick Backman is amazing with characters, and this one has density, but you just can't like him because of the life he led and because he hadn't really changed. He's just cancer, so he's thinking about things, but it's the same. So no, I really didn't. And it was really confusing. The plot is like, there's not really, the rhythm is a bit, the pacing is a bit off, so no. This one wasn't awful because of the writing and because it's Freddie Backman, but he can't really, do a bad book. But it wasn't, good either. So 3 stars for this one. So then we have The 13 Witches by Jodie Lynn Anderson. So this one hasn't came out yet because I don't know if I told you this in another video, but I actually work for a French publisher. My specialty is middle grade and young adult books. That's why I read so many young adults and middle grade books. It's both because I love them and because it's my job. So I read them for my job. That's why also I can read so many books per month, because not every month, because I can do other stuff. I think I'll do a video about my job if you're interested. But there are months where I read a lot of books, foreign books, to see if we want to buy the rights. And so there are a lot of books that I read that haven't been published yet. So this one is one of them, and I didn't like it. So it wasn't awful, not at all. It was just really average, So the story is about this young girl, she's maybe 12 or something like that, and she lives alone with her mother, who is really, how can I say that? She's forgetful. Like, she's always forgetting everything, and she doesn't really remember she has a daughter. Like, she's conscious of her, but it's like when her daughter is standing right in front of her, she kind of remember that she has a daughter, but that's it. And we know right from the beginning, from the prologue, that it was because she was cursed by a witch when she gave birth to her daughter. And so that's why she's so forgetful. It's like because of this curse. And the young girl is like coping with everything, and she has to take care of the house, take care of her mother. So you really like her because of everything she does, and because she's so brave for her age. And but one day she discovers that there are 13 wicked witches that each have a special power, and she also understands that one of them is coming for her, and that she decides to not run, because she wants to confront the witch and kill her, because she hopes that by killing the witch she will be given back her real mother, the one she never knew, that was the one before she was cursed. So for her mother, she wants to try to fight the witch, and so that's the story. My problem with it was that it was the pacing was off, because the story takes a really long time to get started. After this very long exposition, you finally get to the story, and even then it doesn't really get started. It's like really this flatline during the entire book almost. And the characters were also a bit they had density a bit but they weren't like really exceptionally likable. They didn't have anything special about them. You don't really care that much about them. Relationships too. The one with the mother is interesting, but not extraordinary or anything. Yeah. The universe too was like good, just okay, not anything great. Yeah, really, everything about this book is like it's okay, but average and not that good, and not a book I would read or recommend to anyone. So then we have the 4 stars. So the first 4 stars on my list, it's the one I liked the least, but it was really great. It was Girls Stolen by April Henry. So this book was really good. It's about a girl. She's blind. She's around 16, and she's accidentally kidnapped by someone. So the someone was, I don't remember his name, but he's like 19 or something, and he steals car, because he lives alone with his dad, who is really an abusive dad, and he forces him, to steal car to keep them afloat. And so he stole this car, and she was sick and lying on the back seat under a sheet, and so he didn't see her until after he started the car, and then it was too late. He panicked and he just went off with this girl in the back seat, and she's blind, so he thinking it's gonna be okay, and he just at the beginning he's just thinking about taking the car to his dad, and then letting her off in the forest or something so she can find her way. And as she's blind, she wouldn't have anything to tell the police that could incriminate them. But she's actually really rich because her father is really rich, and so the boy's dad decides to turn it into a kidnapping thing, and to ask for a ransom, etc., etc., and that's when the things go down the road. And it was quite good because the blindness, I don't know what's the real right word, but the fact that she's blind is really really well treated in these books, in this book, because you can see there's both a lot of introspection, so you see how she became blind, because she wasn't born blind, it was because of an accident that happened a few years before. And so you see how life turned around after the accident, and how everything changed for her. And so you see so you really get to understand how life went on, and what all the hardships she had to overcome. And you also have the fact that there are two point of views in this book, the boys and the girl, I forgot her name, Cheyenne. That's Cheyenne. So you have Cheyenne's point of view, and so Cheyenne's point of view is like great, because as she's blind, the author really made you blind as well, because you have no visual element to help you understand the scene and the context and the environment. So you're like her, only relying on your other senses, so the touch, smell, and hearing. And that's just really gripping, like the thing that she does, it's like, oh. And you also have the one thing that's also great is because you have the fact that you have the boy's point of view is really interesting as well, because you see the conflict, the moral conflict, because he didn't want any of this to happen, and he has this really difficult relationship with his dad. And so there are also two other guys that work for his father that are like awful guys, and they're really unpredictable, so you're like always at the edge of your seat wondering what they're gonna do and what you can do to stop them. And also great thing going for this book is the fact that Cheyenne is so fucking smart. Like, she's so smart. I love that about her. She's like always thinking of a way to get out of to get help to, and the things she thinks about are like really basic. I wouldn't say that because she doesn't have superpowers. She wasn't a spy or anything. So it's like really things anyone could do. But the fact that she thinks of all of them, you're like, oh, she's so great. And the fact that she has to do them while not seeing anything is like, oh, I was really bluffed by this character. So that's all of the great things going for this book. The only flaw that made it 4 stars for me and not 5 stars is that the problem was it was a bit basic. And then we have Felix Ever After. It was really really good. I loved it. I just didn't love it as much as everyone else seems to have loved it, and that frustrated me, but like, yeah, that's life. So the story is about Felix, who's a trans boy of around 17, I think. And there are a lot of things going on, but the main thing is that he wants to be loved and loved, because he hasn't fell in love ever in his life, and that's like the main thing that he wants to do, to experience. And the problem is that he doesn't have really confidence in himself, because he's black, he's queer, and he's transgender, and he doesn't think like he can be loved because of all those differences. And so that's complicated for him, and things start when there's like this gallery in the school, where you can put artwork, and someone, he doesn't know who, put on the walls all of his old photos of him before his transition. with his dead name, and so he's really upset by that, obviously. And so he decides to find who did it, and he's almost sure that that someone he really doesn't like, Declan, did it. And so he has the idea to create a fake Instagram account and start to talk with him on Instagram, and in the hope that he can uncover a secret about him that he can use later to humiliate him the way he was humiliated. So it's really a slivering that's said in the book, and I agree. And the story starts from there, and it doesn't really go the way you thought it would go. An important part of the book is about Felix's identity, because even though he made his transition, he still has doubts, he still has questions, because he doesn't feel totally like a man, and he doesn't feel like a girl, and so he doesn't really know who he is, and so he has a lot of questions, and the fact that he still has questions hurts him a lot, because he's afraid that he's not real when he says he's transgender. You learn so much, discover so much, and the fact that you have Felix's point of view on everything gives you allows you to have a perfect angle to treat a lot of different topics like gender identity, homophobia, transphobia, and there's also about gender identity, doubts, transitioning, all of this in relationship with the family as well. So everything relating to that topic was perfect in the book. You really like the main character, and he's really so adorable, so great, and the other main characters in the books are also really well done. My only problem with this book, and that's why I didn't give it 5 stars, was the love story, because there's the love story is like the main plot, and I don't want to tell you too much. Let's just say that he didn't ended up with the person I thought he would end up with, and that's my problem with love triangles, because first, I don't like them that much. Like, really, love triangles are always a mess for me. So there was that, and in this case in particular, I don't think I don't see the point of spending so much time developing one relationship if you're just gonna make the main character end up with another character. And the person he ended up with, I think they're great together, and they'll be very happy, etc. And they're really cute. But it was like a bit frustrating for me. So that was my opinion, and that's why it wasn't 5 stars for me. Then we have Legend Born. It's about a girl, she's around 16, and she goes to pre-college, and her mom died a few months before, and she was like devastated, and she's still grieving, and things happen, and she discovers a secret society that might have a link with the death of her mother, that might not have been an accident, and so she decides to infiltrate that secret organization to find out what happened. So that's the main story, and there are so many great things going for this book. So first, the world was great, like confusing at first because there's so many things to cover, but really great. And the author manages to do this wonderful thing to have a sort of Arthurian legend retelling, and also to have different kind of magics, a magic system, a really complex magic system that have different applications, and different type of people, different cultures use it differently, and like it's so great. Like the world, the magic system, everything great. You still have a lot to uncover by the end of the first book, but great world. So then we have the characters. I feel like I'm alone with my opinion, but everyone seems to love them. I think they're great. Like, the main character is really likable because she's grieving, because she's black, and she's always a victim of racism, and you're like you want to hit someone, but like she's really likable because of the things she's going through. What I didn't like was the fact that behind the fact that she's going through a lot, she doesn't have really that much of a personality. Like, you don't know what she likes, you don't know what her hobbies are, you don't know what she wants from life, you don't know what her ambitions are, and I wanted that. She's still likable and she has personality. I just feel we could have known more, and that would have made me love her so much more, and that was a bit frustrating. And Although you really love reading about her and her story, the other characters, there's like a lot of them, and so the author did the best she could, but there are so many characters that you can't really have, them individualized too much. They have like one trait each, but you can't really know them. You don't really know them too much beside that, because there wasn't enough pages, and this book was really long. And but there was so many things going on, with the plot, with the world, and so yeah, she just couldn't do it, and that's a bit disappointing. But it's a series, so she might have the time to to develop the characters in the next books. And the two second main characters, I'm gonna say, after Brie, the main character, are like a bit stereotyped. They're like, they have personality and they're likable, but she could have went a bit further with them, because they're still a bit cliche, with like the noble perfect golden boy and this bad really tortured guy. So yeah, you know they're good, but I wish they were more. And because I didn't love these characters as much as I would have wanted to, the love story was a bit first and startlovey, and even though it was justified afterwards. So I get what she was going for, and it made more sense than I first thought it did, because they really fell in love in like 3 days. So yeah, but justified. And I'm really interested to see what she will do next with the love story. There's like really a potential. It wasn't really but it wasn't exploited to the best of its capacity, I'm gonna say, so far. So I'm like reserved on the love story, but it could get like way better in the next books. So I'm hoping. That were my problems with this book, but the plot was incredible, like really good. Just a bit fast sometimes, because there was so many things going on, and so at times you wished the author had took more time to develop. Like, there's a tournament, I wished we had spent more time on the tournament, etc. But overall the plot was really intriguing, was gripping. There was so many revelations, like perfect for the revelations. I was like, I didn't see them coming, and there was like so many twists and turns, and so great. So, and it's the kind of book that you really see how it's gonna go even further in the next book. So this one for me was really kind of an introduction, and it still did great things, but I think it will get even better in the next books. Oh, and I forgot to say, yeah, the one thing I absolutely adore beside the world and the plot, it was how grief and racism were approached in this book. They were so incredibly well dealt with. Then we have, so we want to talk about Race by Ijeoma Oluwo. So it's non-fiction, it's an essay about racism, and more than that, about so many different things. White privileges, of course, but also about how to talk with white people about race, and what the problems that it can create, and also about police brutality, and the problem of equal chances, and how it's not equal chances in the end. Intersection as well, because the author is a woman, she's black and she's queer, so she's at the crossroad of 3 different discriminations, and so she talks about that as well, about how to fight racism, etc. So just perfect. And I loved how she both dedicates these books to black people and to white people, and so there are sections when she explicitly says that this part is for black people and this part is for white people, because you obviously you can't really do some things the same way, about talking about racism when you're white and when you're black. It's not the same thing, especially for white people. You can get it wrong, and you can do more damage than good. So it's really great, and I loved it, and it helped me a lot, to understand how to make a difference in the world. And so this book was incredible. Then we have, oh, I love it so much, Men at Arms by Terry Pratchett. So it's the 15th book in the Discworld series, but it's only the second book I read, because I don't know if you're familiar with how the Discworld series works, but basically you have a lot of different books. I believe like maybe 30 or something, I have to check. And those books, you can read them in order, of the publication, but you shouldn't, because there are like different, I don't want to say arcs, but characters, you know. You find like maybe a group of characters in different volumes, and so you follow their story, but they're not it's not like in the publication order. So I'm currently following the stories of, you know, the City Watch, and the City Watch is like a sub-series in the Discord series, and the first book in this series is the eighth one in the Discord series in the bigger picture, and it was Guards. So I read Guards, and the second one in this series, this particular series, is the fifth one in the entire book series. I'm sorry if it was confusing. Just I linked down below a video specifically about that. It's like incredible and really good, and you'll understand everything way better than listening to me. But yeah, it's my second book by Terry Pratchett, and I love this author so much. His writing is incredible. Like, I've never seen anyone write the way he writes. It's both so funny and so touching and so smart. Like, it really makes you think about the language, about the words we use, about the society we live in, about morality, about everything, but all the while, you know, laughing out loud. So it's like just this author is brilliant. And so Guards was incredible, like one of my favorite books of all time. And this one was the second one in the series, and I loved it because it was so good. I can't really tell you the story, you know, because it would be so spoiler for Guards, but let's just say, you know, you shouldn't know too much about the series anyway, because discovering it is just so fun. Just read Guards because it's the first one, and you'll love it. Like, you can't not love it. It's fantasy, it's in the world. I can't explain it. Just read it, you know, read it, and you'll thank me. And this one was great. I liked it a little bit less than the Guards, but really from this much, you know, just because there's one thing that happened I wish didn't happen, but like, you know, all the rest was perfect. Like, incredible writing, incredible plot, incredible characters. The characters are incredible, and so touching and so brilliant and so fun and just perfect. And you know, if I had to describe the perfect book, it would be Guards and then this one. Then we have What Lies Between Us. So it was my first book by John Mars, and it was a thriller, and so good, like so freaking good. Just it's incredible. I can't tell you much because it would be spoiler, but you just have those two women that live in the same building, and one is held captive by the other, and you don't know why. And the entire book is, you know, a back and forth between past and present, and you have the two point of views from the captor and the captive, and it's like incredible. The revelation, the pacing, everything. I was like hooked from page one, and I couldn't put it down. Like, I read it in maybe 2 days, and it was only because I had to work and I had to read other books for work. But you know, incredible. I recommend it so much. You're gonna love it. It was a white ride. Incredible. So good, really. Then we have Things My Son Needs to Know About the World by Fredrik Backman. So it's the other one by Fredrik Backman. Fredrik Backman, he's Swedish, and he's like my favorite author now. I love his book so much. It's like, it's like so touching. He's like Terry Pratchett, but in a different way. The way he uses words, I never saw anyone write like him. Like, his words are like so beautiful, and the things he talks about. The one thing I think is incredible about his work is how he understands humans. He has this way of understanding everyone, it seems, you know, and understanding life and its meaning. He could start a sect, and I would be the first one to join. It's like so beautiful. And in this book in particular, it's non-fiction. The other ones I read were fiction, and they were incredible as well. This one was non-fiction, so I was a bit, we'll see, and it stole my heart, really stole my heart. It's a love letter to his son and his wife, basically. It's a lot of different anecdotes, you know, really short anecdotes from 1 to 3 pages max, and they all have one purpose: to, you know, convey his love for his son and what he thinks, what he wants to transmit to him. It's just funny stories about when his son was young, like when he was a baby, and what he had to put up with. It's funny stories about him and his wife before they had him, after they had him. It's in stories, you know, he invented to explain God and to explain evil and to explain why people react the way they react. And it's stories about what it is to be a parent, what it is to live in this world, and it's really, really, really funny. Like, you can't imagine, I was laughing out loud like the entire time, and I was crying at the same time, because that's Frederick Backman. You laugh because it's so funny and you cry because it's so beautiful, like so touching, and you're like, you can feel the love in like every single page, and it's like just incredible. Like, please read it, and it's super short, like maybe 200 pages now. Then we have finally Sleeping Giants. So Sleeping Giants was a slap in the face, and it was like incredible. So, oh my god, I can't say much because it's sci-fi, but with a really with a thriller vibe, and so you don't want to know anything about this book going in. Let's just say that it's about people that discover a hand, you know, like a giant metal hand in the ground. And from the samples they did, they understand that this hand was like built thousands of years ago, like before mankind could do something like that. And so it might not come from Earth. And we don't know the purpose of this hand and what it's doing on Earth. And they're going to, you know, try to understand it. Incredible, incredible. The book is a series of interviews, so you don't have any narration, just the interviews, always conducted by one same person. You don't know his name. It's just a mystery guy that does all the interviews, and I love him so much. Like, I fell in love with mystery guy. He's incredible. Yeah, but all the characters in this book, like everything is like check, check. Incredible characters, check. Like, so complex, so real, so touching. Amazing. The plot. I've never seen a plot like that. Like, one of the best plots I've ever read in my entire life. That's why I can't tell you anything about it, because it would be spoiler. Anything would be spoiler. Like, you don't know what you're getting into reading this book. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, I was taken by surprise every single page. Like, when I thought finally I got this book and I knew where it was going, like, slap in the face, no, you were wrong, and we went in a total different direction. Like, you don't know what you're getting into. And there's like it's the first of a series. I can't wait to read the two other books, and I have no idea what will happen. Like, no fucking idea. So, characters incredible, plot amazing. Then we have the world. It's our world, we know, with sci-fi vibe, obviously, and great. Like, the thinking behind all of this is so good, so good. And there's like really that's one of the things I love the most about this book. This book makes you think so much about life, about death, about the price of scientific discoveries, about the price you're willing to pay to get what you want, about sacrifices, about hurting, about alien, about what it means for us to not be alone in the universe, about war, about society, about government, about everything. So, you know, incredible. Just incredible. And now I have to do a quick about the audiobooks, because I forgot to, I wanted to do them. I think I'll do that in the next wrap up, to talk specifically about the audiobooks. You know, when I talk about the books, I forgot, it's too late, so I'm going just to do the audiobooks for every book. For the 7 books I listen to the audiobook. So, Sleeping Giants, the audiobook is fantastic. Like, I've never heard, it's like one of the best audiobooks I've ever listened to. The voices are perfect. It's a full cast, so it's full cast, it's perfect. As it is interview, there was no better format, and it was it makes you love the characters even more, and it's so gripping. And you know, there are moments where I was even more surprised, even more shocked, because it was the audiobook. Like, it's really the audiobook is a step up for compared to the physical copy. So if you can really listen to this one, please listen to this one. Like, it can be your first audiobook. You're gonna fall in love with audiobooks. Please listen to me on this one. Then we have Things My Son Needs to Know About the World. The audiobook is also fantastic, like one of the best I ever listened to. So, same, if you could, please listen to the audiobook. Like, it's even more touching and gripping with this voice. Then we have What Lies Between Us. Audiobook, also incredible. Like, it was also a lot of incredible audiobooks. So this one, I think the physical copy is also great, but the audiobook, you can sense the difference in the voices. You know, the narrator did a great job in differentiating the two voices, like the captor and the captive, and so the audiobook feels even more real and even more close to you. So the audiobook is my recommendation. Then we have Men at Arms. I love the audiobook as well for this one. It's the same narrator as for all the Discworld books, and the narrator does a great job. It's just a bit old, so the quality isn't as perfect as in for audiobooks, and but really the audiobook is fantastic. So the audiobook is fantastic for this one. So you want to talk about race too. The audiobook is fantastic. You should listen to it as an audiobook because it's easier to get through, you know, as it's non-fiction, it's an essay, like it's narrated by the author, I think, and so listening to her talking to you about those subjects is so much more gripping, so much more touching, so much more impacting. So yeah, you should go for the audiobook. And then we have Felix Ever After. The audiobook is also great. I loved reading the ebook too, so you know, you can do either way. Lenjabon, finally, I liked the audiobook, but I preferred not listening to it. Like, I started with the audiobook and I ended up just reading the ebook. I can't really explain why. I think it's because the voices weren't as good as I was hoping for, maybe. I don't know. Maybe because there were so many characters and it was hard, you know, to do different voices for each and every one of them. So yeah, for this one, the narrator is good and you might love it. So really, maybe give it a try, you know, with the extract you can hear before buying the audiobook. You might love it. Personally, I liked it, but not that much, and so as it's quicker for me to read than to listen to an audiobook, I just ended up reading it. But that's the only thing. So that's it for me. It was such a long video, I'm so sorry. I'll try to be quicker the next times, but there were so many books to cover and I wanted to do them justice, and so we ended up where we ended up. I hope it was okay for you guys. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and please leave a comment if you liked or didn't like the books I talked about. I would be really interested to know, as always. See you around, guys.